Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So today, our group, which consists of me, Lisa Aya, Ami Farisha, and Nazminsa Kaisara, will explain and make you guys understand about thermal and noise pollution. So please stay tuned until the end of the video. Okay, so what is thermal pollution? Did you guys know? Okay, let me tell you. Thermal pollution is the degradation of water duality to the excessive heat dissipation into water caused by a process that changes the water temperature. How can thermal pollution happen? So let me tell you a few causes of thermal pollution. First, as we all know, water is used as a cooling agent to cool down generators in industrial factories and hydroelectric power generator plants. The hot water produced is then discharged into a lake or river, causing the thermal pollution. Other than that, soil erosion is another major factor that causes thermal pollution. Consistent soil erosion causes the water to rise and making them more exposed to sunlight. The high temperature could prove fatal for aquatic biomass as it may give rise to anaerobic condition. The third cause is deforestation. As we all know, trees and plants prevent sunlight from falling directly on lakes, ponds, and rivers. When deforestation takes place, the water are directly exposed to sunlight, thus absorbing more heat and raising its temperature. For the last one is natural causes. Natural causes like volcanoes, geothermal vent, and hot springs under the oceans and sea can trigger warm lava to rise under the water. Lightning can also introduce a massive amount of heat into the ocean. This means that the overall temperature of the water source will rise, having significant impacts on the environment. So, what is the effect of thermal pollution? First, the increase in the temperature of the river is unsuitable for aquatic habitats. As the temperature of the river rises, the dissolved oxygen content in the river will be decreased and threaten the survival of aquatic life. Next, thermal pollution endangers the life of aquatic organisms and is also hazardous to the environment. The rise in the water temperature disturbs biochemical process of aquatic organisms. Drastic change of water temperature also can cause instant death of aquatic animals. However, thermal pollution can be beneficial to some species. For example, bacteria and algae tend to benefit from the excess heat. Higher temperature enhance their growth and consequently rise the BOD level. Okay, so let's move on to noise pollution. Noise pollution can be defined as the sound that disturbs and causes the detrimental effect to the human health and animals. For your information, World Health Organization estimate about 1.1 billion of teenagers are at risk of hearing loss due to personal audio devices that are used excessively at unsafe sound level, as well as exposure to damaging sound in a place. Do you know that noise pollution happens every day and so close to us? So here are a few types of noise pollution. First, street traffic sound. This from car, buses, ambulance, and other vehicles. Second, construction sounds like drilling. Third, airport, which the planes taking off and make their landing. Next, constant loud music in or near the commercial venues. And lastly, train station traffic. We know that noise pollution affects our human health. Exposure to high level of noise for a long period of time can also cause health problems. One of the health problems caused by noise pollution is sleep disturbance. Sleep disturbance are usually caused by constant land or air traffic at night, and it is a serious condition that can affect everyday performance and lead to serious disease. Next, noise pollution can also cause various cardiovascular dysfunction in our human body. For example, elevated blood pressure caused by noise pollution, especially during the night, can lead to various cardiovascular disease. Other than that, noise pollution also affects our marine life. Thousands of oil drills, sonar, coastal recreational watercraft, and shipping vessels are now populating our water. Whales are among the most affected as their hearing helps them orient themselves, feed, and communicate. This noise pollution interferes with whales and dolphins' feeding habit, reproductive patterns, and migration routes.
Here, I've provided two ways to preserve, conserve, and restore thermal pollution. Firstly, planting tree. As we all know, most aquatic organisms live in an optimal temperature range 5 to 25 degrees Celsius. Water absorbs almost all of the infrared energy from sunlight within 10 cm of the surface. This very shallow layer light energy is converted to heat, which can raise the water temperature when sunlight falls directly on lakes. When winds and waves stir the surface of the water, heat mixes into cooler water layer below. By planting trees and plants can prevent the sunlight from falling directly on lakes. Secondly, soil conservation. By conserving soil, it will prevent the soil from being turned into paved surface, which can cause the water temperature to rise. Modification of land have relatively higher solar energy absorption and tend to trap a relatively higher incoming solar radiation. This phenomenon is known as urban heat island (UHI effect) and causes an increase in the urban air temperature. When it's raining, urban runoff discharges to surface water from paved surface, making the water warmer. During summer, the pavement gets quite hot, which creates warm runoff that gets into sewer water system and water bodies. First point for practices in environmental sustainability is management of domestic and toxic waste. Domestic waste, which is sewage, also called wastewater, is the contaminated water that comes from toilets, shower, washing machines, dishwashers, sink, and etc. is one of the causes of the thermal pollution. The contaminants include fecal matter, urine, detergents, food particles, rag, paper, and anything else that is disposed in a drain. This wastewater has higher temperature due to warm shower, drying machine, dishwashers, and etc. Domestic sewage is often discharged into rivers like canals or streams without treating the waste. Not only that, did you know that warmer water tends to have low dissolved oxygen rate than cool water? Why? Cool water can hold more oxygen than warmer water. Warmer water becomes saturated more easily with oxygen. As water becomes warmer, it can hold less and less dissolved oxygen. So, during summer, the total amount of oxygen present may be limited by temperature. Oxygen, like in the air, is equally essential for aquatic life. Therefore, a slight change in temperature of water could lead to an anaerobic condition, thus sabotaging aquatic life. And the last section for thermal pollution is scientific technology or innovation. As I said before, domestic waste usually being discharged directly to the water bodies. But Anto P. Biju and Thomas Sariak don't think the same. Both of them invented an index finger-sized organic water filter that can filter 30 liters of sewage water into fresh water within a few hours using activated carbon. How cool is that? Other than that, cooling tower also helps in cooling down water temperature. All cooling towers operate on the principle of removing heat from water by evaporating a small portion of water that is recirculated through the unit. The mixing of warm water and cooler air releases latent heat of vaporization, causing the water to cool. Industrial cooling towers can be larger and are used to remove heat absorbed in the circulating cooling tower water system used in power plants, petroleum refiner, petrochemical plants, natural gas processing plants, food processing plants, and other industrial facilities. For example, Mali LW fluid cooler and induced draft counterflow closed-circuit fluid cooler. The design incorporates an innovative new heat transfer technology and a closed-circuit design that helps the process fluid in a clean, closed loop. Now, let us talk about noise pollution. How can we preserve, conserve, and restore noise pollution? Well, the answer is by planting trees. Plants are the perfect antidote to noise pollution and sound absorption, and of course, they offer many other benefits. In order to boost the noise-reducing benefits of trees, you'll need to choose one that features thick, dense foliage and that can be planted closely together. These include oak tree, larch tree, and bamboo. There are 4 ways on how the tree contribute to sound attenuation. The first one is by absorbing. The structure of a tree, including height, branching structure, leaf shape and density, bark texture, and wood density determines how effective it is at absorbing sound. A study published in Applied Acoustics found that large tree bark was the best at absorbing sound wave because of its structure. The second way is deflection. Sound deflection occurs when sound waves bounce off a surface back towards the source of the noise. The level of sound deflection depends on the interfering object's density, with harder objects deflecting more sound. Leaves, branches, and trunks all contribute to the deflection of a sound wave by creating a physical barrier. Large, rigid tree trunks are by far the best sound deflectors, especially those with dense bark like oak, for example. In addition to bouncing back towards the noise source, deflected sound waves can change direction and interfere with each other. This destructive interference has a noise-cancelling effect. Next, noise is refracted when sound waves change direction as they pass through different mediums. For example, an empty room without carpet will experience echoes because sound waves are reflected off hard, bare surface. Adding soft texture like carpet or curtains will dissipate sound wave and dampen the noise in the room. The same effect also applies to sound when it hits tree. Lastly, masking. Unlike the other tree, masking does not interfere with the sound wave emitted by the noise polluters. Instead, masking helps offset noise pollution by creating sounds that are more pleasant to human ear. Trees can be selected for the sounds they make in response to wind for the animals they will attract. Species with thick or peppery leaf rustle in even a small breeze. The presence of vegetation can also attract wildlife such as songbirds and crickets that make pleasant sounds and allow one to feel more fully immersed in the nature. Now, we are going into practices in environmental sustainability. A one-time exposure to extreme loud sound or listening to loud sounds for a long time can cause hearing loss. Loud noise can damage cells and membranes in the cochlea. Listening to loud noise for a long time can overwork hair cells in the ear, which can cause these cells to die. Harmful effects might continue even after the noise exposure has stopped. Putting on a pair of earplugs is one of the most easiest way for you to reduce noise pollution. Sometimes closing your window can really help in reducing noise pollution, but you will never have your natural ventilation. No airflow filtering in and out of your room can cause humidity to build up. In turn, high levels of humidity and warm temperature can create a perfect environment for mold to grow in your room. Mold spores are essentially mold seeds are released into the air. When breathed in, these spores can trigger horrible allergy that results in itchy, watery eyes, an irritated throat, a runny nose, and many more symptoms. Spending too much time in that room can possibly make yourself quite sick as well. If that's so, how can we cancel the noise but keep the windows open? Researchers in Singapore have developed an apparatus that can be placed in a window to reduce incoming sound by 10 decibels. The system was created by a team of scientists including Masaharu Nishimura, who came up with the basic concept, and Ban Lam, a researcher at Nanyang Technological University in Singapore. Borrowing from the same technological principles used in noise-cancelling headphones, where it used active noise control or ANC. A microphone captures the targeted ambient sound and a small amplifier generates the sound wave that are exactly out of phase with the undesired sound. When the sound pressure of the noise wave is high, the cancelling wave is low and vice versa. The opposite sound wave collide and are eliminated or cancelled. The team expanded the concept to fit an entire room by placing 24 small speakers in a window. The speakers emit sound waves that are corresponded to the incoming racket and neutralize it. The system is based on the frequency of the sound wave, and for now, the optimal range is between 300 and 1000 Hz. The system uses a microphone outside the window to detect the repeating sound wave of the offending noise source, which is registered by a computer controller. That in return deciphers the proper wave frequency needed to neutralize the sound, which is transmitted to the array of the speakers on the inside of the window frame. The speakers then emit the proper anti-wave, which cancel out the incoming wave. And there you have it, near blissful silence. And that's all from me. Thank you.
When we talk about environmental pollution, we tend to focus on solid waste like plastics, and paper, we hardly talk about noise pollution. As someone who had experienced life in the city such as Kuala Lumpur, I realized how bad the noise pollution in the city has become. Noise emanates from the continuous stream of traffic on the roads and railways, construction work, and other human activities. Many people are still not aware of the danger of noise pollution. It disturbs our peace and causes irritation and mental tension. It interrupts the flow of our thoughts and adversely affects both our mental and physical health. It is known that trees can reduce noise pollution to some extent, but in some urban areas, I have seen natural trees being cut down and replaced with artificial ones fitted with colorful lights. We do have laws to control noise, but they are not strictly enforced by the authorities. It is the duty of the government to ensure that noise that does not pose a danger to the well-being of its citizens. The United States, China, and France are the countries with the highest combined rates of riverine thermal emissions, occupying shares of 26%, 16%, and 12% of the global thermal emission rate respectively. But the power stations with one true cooling systems along rivers contribute only 70%, 8%, and 25% to the respective national thermoelectric installed capacity, which is dominated by stations employing tower and seawater one-stroke cooling. While the global and national shares in terms total thermoelectric capacity occupied by the selected power stations might appear to be small in some cases, considering the completeness of the data set produced in the work of Raptis and Fifster 2016 and the accuracy of the georeferencing the data set used in this study. In fact, provides the to date most complete quantification of global heat emissions from the thermoelectric sector into rivers. In countries where the capacity of the riverine ones through power plants amount to over 50% of the countrywide thermoelectric installed capacity, the national contribution to the global heat emission power stations is less than 2% and the combined contribution sums up to 10% of the global total. Malaysia is among many other countries worldwide that believe in the existence and threat of climate change. As a peninsular country, the impact of climate change could also pose a serious threat to those living in coastal communities due to the rise of sea level and tidal inundation. Among others, a recent survey on climate change revealed that 82% of the population in the country believe that the average global temperature would increase in 2020. In addition, another survey reported that some Malaysians found that climate change was one of the most worrying issues in our country.